All right, what's going on? It's Bobby Skinner, Giants Nation, and the New York Giants are benching Russell Wilson, and they are making Jaxson Dart quarterback one. Make sure to like and subscribe to the channel. Just do it right now. We are your number one spot for the New York Giants. If you like this, just do it. If you don't like it at the end, unsubscribe. Uh, this is huge, obviously. Like we knew this was going to come eventually. Brian Dable had a press conference on Monday where he essentially confirmed that this was going to happen by not backing Russell Wilson as his QB1. And here we are, the beginning of the Jaxson Dart era. You know, a first-round rookie QB, you're benching a 14-year vet and Super Bowl champion Russell Wilson. It's time for a new era. And even though it is a little bit reckless, I am excited to feel something with this team and be totally invested and hoping they have their franchise quarterback. It's been a while since we've had that feeling. Um, why did this happen, though, now? Because Russell Wilson has been really bad in 2 of his 3 games, sandwiching 450 yarder, and not only bad, but I think the key thing was eliminating the middle of the field for Brian Dable and Mike Kafka's offensive coaches. It's also an 0-3 team, and Brian Dable knows he needs this to save his head coaching future. Like this is desperate. Like it can work out, but this is desperate from Brian Dable. Here's what I'm excited for. First, this could be the guy. I'm not going to sit here and pretend that I had these rave reviews from him coming out of the draft process, but I'm also not going to pretend like my opinion is the decider of a player's success. Like, I'm a Giants fan, and I want to have my franchise quarterback more than anything. And Dart is talented enough to do it. He's got a good arm. He's not top of the league arm, but a good arm and has good athleticism and a playmaking instinct to him where you see NFL guys, quarterbacks live like that. Those things can get you by, and as you learn the ropes of the NFL as well. Getting the quarterback right just makes life so much easier, and it raises all boats for a football team. The offense with Russell Wilson was legitimately either deep passes or checkdowns, like almost exclusively that. And the Giants had to stop calling plays that they like to use that had routes breaking over the middle of the field. And even when they did call those and those plays were there, Russ simply was just not throwing them. Like it's just very hard to call an offense when a quarterback is doing that. Like it limits what you do as an offensive coordinator, and it also makes a defense easier to call, knowing the limitation that you're dealing with. Jaxson Dart, in a very different offense, was able to do that at Ole Miss. I do want to stress that it was way easier at Ole Miss with guys more open and more space against college athletes and college defenses. But he does see those throws break over the middle of the field, and he throws them with anticipation when they are there. And it's not just middle of the throws, it's the intermediate on the corner routes and flood concepts. And again, here's the other thing. You're not losing aggression, right? Russell Wilson, that's the one good thing. He threw the ball deep. He was aggressive. You're keeping that aggression with Jaxson Dart that he had. You know, Dart threw the ball deep 22% of the time at Ole Miss, and he actually defaults to aggression when things aren't clear for him. He actually threw deep at a higher rate against SEC opponents compared to non-SEC opponents. Again, better or worse, he does default to aggression. That being said, he doesn't throw as good of a deep ball as Russell Wilson does, and that's, Russell Wilson's success, at least not yet. Like he's got to get the ball to not die out on him around 40 to 50 yards and fall to the inside shoulder of a receiver. You just saw that way too much at Ole Miss. And he only completed 30% of deep passes against the SEC. So like the aggression is good, but we also have to hit on aggression. Just aggression for aggression's sake is not good. But again, Brian Dable likes that, and Dart has it. Dart also ran the same concepts at Ole Miss that Brian Dable does run down the field. So there is familiarity there. Like it's all going to be very new. There's a lot of things he's going to be asked to do that he wasn't Ole Miss. The deep passing game is not going to be one of those. It's very similar. The running ability. Dart can run. He's not some super dynamic athlete, but he can run. And the threat of that will force defenses to be more honest on zone reads. It's going to allow them to keep some zone reads when they're not being honest and just help the Giants' putrid rushing offense. It's also going to help. And when he doesn't see something clearly, those legs can make a play for him. You look at guys like Josh Allen and Lamar Jackson and other quarterbacks who are very mobile. These guys don't see every play perfectly, right? These guys don't operate like Tom Brady. They're very good, but they don't operate that way. A lot of times they miss an open player, but they tuck it and scramble, and then they're able to create a positive play out of that, and you don't remember it. Going back to Jaxson Dart's preseason, that Gunnar Olszewski 50-yard catch, that was a bad read by Jaxson Dart, but his legs bought time, and he was able to turn that into a 50-yard pass. And results are what matters for quarterbacks, not process all the time. So that running ability. That being said, this was not the plan for the New York Giants. This was not the plan for the Giants to start Jaxson Dart, and that is like a fact. That's not my opinion. The Giants leaked out that they wanted him to sit for the majority of the season. They spent all offseason talking about the plan. The plan was not for the Giants to fall to 0-3 and start Jaxson Dart in week 4. This is a panic move from Brian Daboll, despite my excitement and other fans' excitement to see Jaxson Dart play. This is an effort by Brian Daboll to go down swinging with his quarterback. Like, if I'm going to be run out of town, I'm going to be run out of town trying to make my quarterback work out. And here's the reality, though, and I want to challenge, and Giants fans aren't the ones making the decision. At the end of the day, it's John Mayer, and he makes the wrong decision a lot of the times. This should not save these guys' jobs if Jaxson Dart does well. That should be totally independent. Joe Schoen has done a bad job drafting and roster building. Brian Daboll has done a bad job of retaining and finding good coaching talent, with too many examples of just a bad organizational way of the way they run practices to let one player save them. And again, this is all a big if, because Dart could also not play well. Like, they're going to need him to play well to save their jobs. But one QB move does not absorb wrongdoings. And if Dart is going to be good, it's not going to be dependent on Brian Daboll, right? Like, I always like, coaches can help quarterbacks, but I just and we have examples of guys like Jared Goff and stuff. But like, at the end of the day, quarterbacks are going to figure it out, and they may have some better moments and better seasons. But if you're talking about a quarterback who's going to be sustainably good for 4 to 8 years, like, those guys are going to be able to figure it out unless you have terrible coaching. And again, Brian Daboll has not done anything to show that we can't reconstruct what he does on offense. Here's the thing: as much as we are excited, this could also go bad for Jaxson Dart. Like, but here's the thing: if he does bad, he should not be given up on. But again, I'm going to hit you with a bunch of nuance on this, hashtag nuance. It's just not fair to a rookie QB of having the standard of like, hey, be good or you're not the quarterback going forward. It's not fair. Like, and again, he was also taken as a late first round pick, which means if you're taken in the late first round by a team that already picked in the first round, that means you had a day 2 evaluation, and you should just be afforded some time to develop. Like, I'm a big believer that first round quarterbacks should get a year 2, like, almost no matter what, except for extreme scenarios, which the Giants may find themselves in extreme scenarios. It could be extreme scenario of like, this guy does not prepare, he's lazy. I don't think that's going to be the case with Jaxson Dart from everything we heard. Or like, this guy's just dumb as a box of rocks. But like, how did you draft this guy? But like, you should be able to get a year 2, let him develop and work through struggles. By the end of year 2, you should have a decent idea of who this QB is, right? You're not going to have this like, oh, well, he's going to be top 5 or top 8, but you should have a decent idea of like, if you're moving forward with this quarterback, or at least have a good enough sample size to say, a good enough play to say he at least gets a year 3 so we can really figure this out before we make a decision on the 5th year option. Now, with that being said, and we're a long ways away from this, we got 14 more games. He should not be tied to a brand new quarterback and force on, or a brand new GM and force on that. A new GM should not have to keep a quarterback he didn't take if there's a first round quarterback that he desires looking him in the face. If the Giants end up with a 2nd pick and, fill in the blank name with whatever quarterback, Fernando Mendoza or Lenore Sellers, and he believes like he should be able to have that ability. That is why you don't let a desperate year 4 GM head coach duo make decisions like this when you win 3 games in your 3rd year. I don't want to keep revisiting last year and decisions made, but the argument that they hadn't had a quarterback yet was like the worst one, because like, all right, well, if they take a quarterback, that just makes things way muddier. Like, start fresh and let a new person come in and make a decision. I do want to talk about the Russell Wilson point of view on this. It is very funny, not funny, a little cruel, that there was all this talk about Russell Wilson returns to the stadium where he won the Super Bowl. Yeah, well, he played 1 game there and he got booed. People were chanting for his backup. I don't think that went as fun as Super Bowl 50 in MetLife Stadium. They paid $10 million for 3 games, 3 losses, 3 touchdowns, 3 interceptions, a lot of 3 in there. This, to me, again, it's hard to forecast this stuff. I just don't know if you were going to have this short of a trigger. You should have just kept Jameis. Like, you would have saved some money. Jameis could have played 3 games. He also, Jameis allows you to operate the offense that you want to run. Like Jameis was the quarterback that you brought in if you were pairing him with a rookie quarterback, right? That's how it went. So I know they picked at 25, so they didn't have the greatest forecast of this. Jameis isn't the guy you try and get through 17 games, but it is what it is. We knew there wasn't going to be these loyal ties to Russell Wilson. Like he was a mercenary here to help be a bridge to either drafting a quarterback next year or Jaxson Dart, and it ended up being Jaxson Dart. So like and subscribe. We're going to be live at 6 o'clock with a full podcast, myself and the Football Grump. So again, like and subscribe. We got, O-line report we just put out. We are the #1 spot for New York Giants fans. By fans, for fans. You're going to have that stupid tagline that every sports media company has. But like and subscribe. I'm excited. It's the Jaxson Dart era. No matter what you think of the guy, new quarterback, first rounder. Like we could be seeing the next 15 years starting now, or this could go terribly, and we're redoing all this in a year or two. So appreciate you guys. We'll see you at the podcast at 6. Until then, let's go Big Blue.